Hey James, this is Richard.
Hey, it's Richard here with Sherwood Motor Cars. Today we're out in our badass black 1969 428 big block Mustang Resto Mod. I love this car. I'm super excited to take it for a spin. Nice take up in first gear. We're still sort of getting the car warmed up a little bit. One of the things I just love about this car is just its sinister demeanor. It is a man car. It's got a heavy clutch, it's got direct steering, it's got manual brakes, manual transmission. It is totally mechanical to drive. I love it. It's so awesome. You know, some people might want to take a little bit of pressure out of the clutch. You know, it's a pretty heavy clutch pedal in it. But to me, it just reminds me I'm driving a badass machine every time I push it in. I wouldn't change a damn thing. Tremec 5-speed, shifts like butter. It's really well matched to the gear set in this car. The 428, highly upgraded engine. It's you know, shaft rockers, aluminum heads. It's a fresh rebuild on it. And it's got that right thump, it's got that right idle, and it just has excellent throttle response. It's got that bit of aggressive demeanor to it that makes the car. The other thing that really completes the whole package is the Scott Supercar suspension, which is a big conversion on one of these cars. Not for the faint of heart. One thing that's kind of a nice feature about it is it allows you to cut out the shock towers because it converts the car to a dual A-arm with a coil over. So it's a ton of work to put that stuff in. But once it's done, you get rewarded with lots of extra room in the engine bay. But most importantly, a suspension that just kicks ass. This thing handles, sticks to the road, and it rides really good. The steering with this setup is also very, very direct, very, very straightforward. So it's a great muscle car that you can get out on the street. We're going to go and mix it up with the regular cars out here and go for a rip. Sitting at a traffic light like this, you know, the oil pressure is rock solid, stable, water temp is nice and stable, the car doesn't overheat, it's got plenty of radiator and cooling system in it. The cop in the other lane, we're going to behave ourselves just a little bit. But going over some bumpy stuff, the suspension just soaks it up great. Throttle response is immediate. Good old 428, big time torque in third gear. No problemo. Coming out of this yield, no problem bucking it. Rocks the tires on, no sweat at all. And just a couple of seconds on the throttle and we got to get all over the brakes to get mowed down. Excellent brake feel. This thing stops super nice and straight. Downshifts are nice and smooth, and the only thing wrong with this car is all this traffic. Man, I wish they were deleted off the road. We could really go for a proper rip here. I love how involved this car makes you. The car's alive, it makes me feel alive. There's that little bit of vibration, that little bit of growl, that urgency, that aggressiveness makes the car. There's so many of these that maybe have a lot of the same parts or good parts, but in the combination is just not sorted out. They shift sloppy, the throttle's lazy, the cam doesn't match right. Not this thing. Just coming up to an off ramp here. Unfortunately, there's too many other cars on the road. We might not really be able to get after this thing the way it's supposed to be. Again, clutch take-off is super nice and direct. Motor makes tons of torque. Again, going around a curve, 80 miles an hour, and just, again, on the brakes, way up in behind everybody. Again, downshifts are super smooth. just want to cruise it around, it is just no problem at all. Third gear roll on. Super direct, happy. Try and keep it under 300% of the speed limit here. Car's nice and super stable. It's not clanky, it's not rattly. It's just badass muscle car. And tootling along in fourth gear here. You know, we're 50 miles an hour, 2,000 RPM, barely touching the throttle. So when it's time to be responsible, the car's got you covered. I don't really want to be responsible with this thing. This thing makes me want to go out and commit crimes immediately. Look at that guy. Oh, getting in around other cars just feels like the world has stopped. It's awful. Second gear corner here. Just gonna get right back on it. Nice and stable as you feed the power in. I could have got off of it, got onto it a little harder, spun the tires some. But the car is just happy, stable. You can steer it with the throttle, you can steer it with the steering wheel. And here we are stuck amongst the normals again. Water temp, rock solid, just where they want to be. Engine, tranny, diff, happy, happy, happy. Nice. Tight left is nice and precise. Just about home. Back to Sherwood Motor Cars. You know, the combination in this car, you know, badass suspension, big brakes, great steering, killer motor, awesome paint, big stereo. Whew. There's not a whole lot of them out there that have it all. This one does. You can see on the traffic circle, nice, tight, tight, tight. Wants a downshift, we're going to give it to it.
Thanks, James.
Thanks for joining us.